What's up? It's Marvin of the Miles Ahead podcast, and for today, I'm going to be giving a short take. So let's get into it. But first, I want to tell you guys hit the like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the channel, show your support. I have about 60 plus episodes on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple, and about 20 plus episodes on YouTube. So be on the lookout for this good content. So let's dive into the short take. It's going to be about 5 to 7 minute videos. So let's get into it. So the topic is going to be it's going to be about legacy and who I think this championship is going to affect the most. Many people they say if LeBron wins the championship, it's going to solidify him as the greatest player of all time. I don't think that will definitely help him in my case. Okay. And to me, I just don't really see him getting there and winning a championship this year. As far as Kevin Durant, on the other hand, I feel like this definitely does help his legacy because, you know, he wants to be able to win a championship without Steph Curry and also being the main source to win a championship as the league up. And, he's playing with a guy in Devin Booker who had never won, Chris Paul who had never won, and the coach, he has lapses in choking as well. So I do feel like this would definitely help Kevin Durant for sure. Plus, then on top of that, Charles Barkley never won for that team. If Kevin Durant wins a championship for a team that was not even as talented as the team that Charles Barkley had in the 90s, how do people look at Charles Barkley now? I mean, obviously, they're going to look at him the same, as just somebody who worked hard and didn't win anything and stuff like that. But hey, Charles Barkley, he was also trying to be on the super team too. He teamed up with Scottie Pippen and Hakeem Olajuwon to try to win a ring, and he did it. Okay? He came over to the Suns, despite them going to the conference finals and them winning 50 plus games. He went over to the Suns. So Charles Barkley, it's just going to be tough for Charles Barkley to still call him sensitive. And the truth of the matter is that Charles Barkley, he's actually one of the most sensitive athletes to ever play. So I do feel like this would definitely help Kevin Durant's legacy a lot. So the next thing is when it comes to Giannis, right? If Giannis wins the championship, he becomes obviously the best player in the world, but people are definitely going to have to make a case that he's definitely top 25 all time. So all that this would do was just assert his dominance even more as a basketball player, right? And then on top of that, look at who he's winning with. Chris Middleton, he's not the same guy as he was 2 years ago. Drew Holiday, he's getting older. Okay. Now, when it comes to Brook Lopez, his defense has been great this year. I mean, an argument could have been made for him to win the Defensive Player of the Year this year. That's how good that he was defensively this year. But he's no superstar, all-star type of player. He's not. So if Giannis wins another championship, all this does is just help him boost his legacy even more. It's going to assert his dominance even more over the league. Now, do I see Giannis staying in Milwaukee because he did win 2 championships for this team? Not necessarily. I can't see him staying in Milwaukee. Now, for the next person who, in my opinion, will boost up this person's legacy the most, okay, is actually Nikola Jokic. He needs this championship the most because he has yet to be able to solidify himself as a superstar in the postseason. Everybody else has. Giannis has. KD has. Steph Curry has. LeBron has. Kawhi has. I mean, Nikola Jokic, he has 2 MVPs. We see why he didn't get the MVP this year. Okay? It's because he was on track to win his 3rd MVP, and nobody didn't want to put him in the class of Larry Bird, in the class of Bill Russell, especially if he had not really done anything in the postseason. Now, I do understand that it is a regular season award, and we all know that it's going to go to Embiid this year, okay? But wouldn't it help if he wins a championship this year and not get knocked out in the first or second round? Okay, so that's the person, in my opinion, whose legacy would be affected the most. Another person's legacy who I believe this would affect a lot, it would be Kawhi Leonard. Like I said previously, if Kawhi Leonard wins a championship with Russell Westbrook by his side, this elevates him to a top 10 player, in my opinion. Okay? So I'm not even going to get into my thoughts on Russ, but just know that he's easily the dumbest all-time great point guard to ever play in the NBA. Remember, he is still an all-time great. He's just not somebody you should put with the ball in his hands in the last few minutes of a basketball game. Okay? So when it comes to Kawhi Leonard, this would definitely 100% elevate his legacy. Okay? Because, I mean, think about this. Tyronn Lue, I mean, we could basically say that his coaching job, it may be in peril if he does not get somewhere close to the finals. It's a lot riding on him. Same thing with Paul George. Because at the end of the day, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they both came to the Clippers. And so far in the postseason, yes, they were able to get to one conference finals, but that's one conference finals. Steve Ballmer, he's not cutting all these checks for nothing. They got to get somewhere. And now it's the time. So they're definitely looking to try to get a championship this year. The next person it would affect, in my opinion, is Steph Curry. If Steph Curry goes back-to-back, if Steph Curry wins back-to-back championships this year, it becomes from being an argument about whether or not if this is LeBron's generation or if this is Steph Curry's generation, to this definitely being Steph Curry's generation. Okay? I mean, who's been doing all the winning? On the same team and not leaving, that would be Steph Curry. So, like I said, if Steph Curry wins the championship, I mean, you're definitely going to have to put him not just in the top 10, but he's going to have to go above some people. I mean, he might have to be top 7, top 8 all time. I have him at 10. Okay. And with all the drama that this team has been going through all year long, and then they turn around and then they win a championship, that would be just ludicrous. For real. They went 11 for 31 on the road. They got the second best home record in the league. Okay. Now, as for the regular season and stuff like that, they had injuries. They had a whole bunch of issues. They had re-signed Gary Payton back. Andrew Wiggins was missing games. Jordan Poole was getting used to playing by himself in different rotations. I mean, he was coming off the bench. He was starting at one point. At one point, he wasn't getting enough minutes this year. But now he's playing. Then on top of that, the first part of the season where all the media just continues to bring it up over and over again with the Draymond Green punch. Like I said, if Steph Curry wins a championship this year, what can people really say? I mean, in my opinion, this roster, it's not that great. Just like last year's roster was not that great. So, and the crazy thing about the whole thing is Steffi does what LeBron doesn't do, which is trade everybody who plays with him in the trade deadline. He tries to make it work with everybody. I mean, we saw him win with Otto Porter, who was a renowned Shaq and the Fool legend, JaVale McGee, Nick Young, okay? And some of the guys on last year's championship, they were not too far away from being from the G League. Okay? They had just came out the G League a couple years ago. Jordan Poole, Gary Payton, Damian Lee, they were all G League players at one point in their career. So it would definitely boost up Steph's legacy even more. Another person who could possibly need the championship as well, just as much as Jokic does, is Joel Embiid. All we hear about from Joel Embiid is him complaining about the regular season MVP. Well, now he got one. Now he has one. What's next? Okay. What's next? You got to turn it around and then get a championship. It has the same way that you played in the regular season, it has to be the same in the postseason, if not better. This is your time. I mean, you got the choker and James Harden right next to you. And then on top of that, you also got Doc Rivers, who does not help with the adjustments as a coach. You need a championship. And another person who I believe would help their situation when it comes to getting a championship would be Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, I mean, shoot, he played really bad last year. If he redeems himself this year, this definitely just put him in another light. A superstar. Okay? And for Jaylen Brown, no more questions about people wanting to trade him off rip. Okay? No more questions about that for Jaylen Brown. So a championship would definitely help Jaylen Brown's case. But like I said, in my opinion, I believe that the person who has most at stake for a championship, it would actually be Jokic. He needs it. Now, will he deliver his best playoff run ever? Who knows? But we're going to see what happens in April, May, and June. We're going to see what happens. Remember, the regular season, that's what stars are made. The playoffs, that's where legends are made. Will these players get it done? They got the most at stake. Let's see what's going to happen next. So that's my short take. Have a good rest of your weekend. And remember, let's not be inches, feet, meters, nor yards. Let's be miles ahead. Have a good one.